So, guys, I understand you've had a bit of some driving to do the last couple of days. Now, I thought some of the trips I've been on 11, 10 hours. Frank, you had a 15-hour drive yesterday.
It was a bit of a drive, man. I was coming back from Fort Lauderdale, where I was mentioning we were down there for the senior games. So that was really a lot of fun, and headed up here to Branson, Missouri to run a big major this weekend.
Now, I think about the Champions Tour in golf and the PGA Tour, or just in regular. Is there a correlation there with the intensity? Are those guys more intense than what we'll see later on this weekend?
Oh, you'll see some pretty intense activity, especially since this is the last major of the season. We have 35 of these that ran this year across the country, from Las Vegas to Panama City Beach. And, we end every season in Branson, Missouri. It's a points chase. This year, it just so happens that the World Championships is coming here this week, or not this week, the last week of July as well. So
it's a good center point in the United States,
cool.
Kind of smack dab in the middle. Tommy.
Finn, I love your business card. You see Finn's business card, his title, Loudmouth, Dot Connector, and Doer of Things. That sounds like a wide sweeping range of job duties.
Pretty much every place I've ever been, I've been able to give myself my own title. And this is the one I chose for this
I'm going to have to adjust my business
Look at that. Loudmouth will fit you. Dot Connector, Doer of Things. I think all that would work. So,
and then Alchemist is the other one that I added, just because every once in a while I have to be able to figure out how we turn lead into gold. So that's what we do. That's what we do. But no, I mean, to Frank's point, we're going to have a lot of fun this weekend. And again, everything is a prelude to July. That last week of July.
Yeah. So if someone's listening and they're kind of maybe trying to plan out Memorial Day weekend, looking for something to do, what are they going to see if they come here? If they're weekend warriors with throwing some bags, what are they going to see, and what can they enjoy as a spectator?
Well, we start with the Battle of the Badges tonight. We've got a fundraiser going on where we've got corporate teams battling against corporate teams. We've got an open tournament where, if you actually think you're good at cornhole, come on out and support the fire and the police in the local neighborhood here. That's
kind of like a pro-am in golf. You can kind of come out and be a part of the event.
You can. We will not have too many pro players playing this evening. This is all about social fun.
This will be an am.
But it'll be it's a great thing. Again, we have it's for the police and the fire department in the local area. But no, the rest of the weekend shapes up really exciting. Our majors pretty much are all the same in terms of the schedule of activity. But Friday, we start with juniors, seniors, and women's. Juniors is free. So if there's any kids out there, parents out there that want to maybe bring their kids by tomorrow morning, you need to be here no later than 8:30 to check your kid in. But if you want to get a kid out here to play for free, they can do that on Friday morning. Mid-afternoon, we have what's called the Luck of the Draw, where we'll have teams get randomly paired with one another. We do co-ed as well. Co-ed starts around 4 o'clock, and then we have a thing called the Quads. The Quads is a tournament where you play 4-on-4. Traditional cornhole is 2-on-2 or 1-on-1 now with professional cornhole that we created years ago. But now the Quads is a fun, more social, and that's the way we're going to be doing the corporate outing tonight, is where the way it works with Quads is you'll have 4 people on a team, 2 people across from one another. All 4 people get the chance to throw the bags for the team. So it's a lot of fun. But then Saturday rolls around, and that's the big day. If you want to come as a spectator, come on out on Saturday. Check us out. We got the World Singles and the World Doubles. Both evenings, we'll be broadcasting. So that's something that they can check out, too, if they're tuning in and want to check it out.
All right, we got Frank Geer, the president of the American Cornhole Organization, and Finn's with us. Finn, when did it turn the corner? Because I think for a lot of our listeners, they've played cornhole in the backyard, something you do while the charcoal's turning white.
Right.
So when did it turn the corner and become such a competitive event and has really grown in its popularity?
Well, I think, honestly, the guy that we're sitting right next to, had he not been to a football game, a Bengals game of all, 17 years ago?
Yeah, that's before people went to Bengals games, too.
Yeah, it was easy to find people out in the parking lot playing cornhole because there was hardly anybody out there. But he saw the game and said, and I'm telling his story, but honestly, it's a marketing tool. It's a great way to get boards and bags out there. People are looking for different things versus celebrity golf tournaments and all these other things. And he turned it into a pro sport in, 2005? As a result. And then all of a sudden, like the bags that I just tossed to you guys that are filled with those resin pellets versus corn, he's responsible for that. Corn has its limitations inside those bags, whether it be just from breakdown or from the fact that they're delicious to certain smaller crawly things. And everything, the two-sided bags, the pro level board.
So this is cornhole royalty.
Oh, he is. He's the.
Right.
They call him the father of cornhole.
Okay. Not the king.
I was going to say, well, the king of cornhole is who we crown our champion.
All right.
Each year, if it's a female, which we have not had a female singles champion yet, but we will.
Oh, yeah,
One day we will, and she will be the queen of cornhole. We used to have a queen and a king, but now everything is in the singles division. And as we talk about, one of the only sports where men and women compete against each other in the top level to see who's gonna outlast the rest.
So your Bengals guy, Frank, you Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah,
dude.
absolutely love the kid.
He turned that team around in 2 years.
He did, even with the injury and all, man. So I think that the Bengals.
What gives us all hope, right? That it can happen that quick.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Even the Cowboy fans have some hope.
I don't want to jinx them, but they feel like they're doing the right thing, man. They seem like they've got their head on their shoulders finally. It's taken 40 years of my life to get there, but we're all right.
Yeah, it's post-boomer size, and basically is what we're having to look forward to. But
I got to see Ken Anderson. I went to the Super Bowl back in '82. Yeah.
Okay.
So in Detroit at Pontiac. So actually made the newspaper there as a little kid in my gear and everything on the bus ride over. So that was kind of a cool thing for me.
So who's the better of you two? You just
Playing?
referenced him as you just referenced him to kind of as the Godfather, Finn.
I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, it depends on when you catch him. Thursday night Frank is very good, very good. That's the social night, and he takes down competitor after competitor after competitor. He puts them on his fridge when he beats them. Thursday night Frank, very good. Friday and Saturday Frank, he's got other things going on. He's very good. I am, I'd say, terrible. I'm not good. That's why I talk about it. That's why I'm the announcer. I like to play. I don't play to the level that these guys do, but I know enough about it to be dangerous, I guess.
We were so nuts our senior year, so we had it out every single football game at Arkansas, and I'm not kidding you when I told you this. When we would go places, like trips and stuff, we would bring the cornhole stuff with us.
Really?
We were that psychotic when it comes to it, just because we enjoyed it so stinking much. Now, if we went out there, we'd get our tails kicked because we're not that good. But that was a game that we played every stinking weekend during football season, even basketball too, just because it's so fun, man. It's easy too. You got 2 boards, you got 8 bags, and you're good to go, man.
Yeah, and it's a sport like golf or bowling where there's no coach to decide how much playing time you get. There's no coordinator on offense or defense to determine a depth chart. It's just you in the bag, kind of like a golfer with his club and the ball, and maybe a caddy or a bowler. It's all on you, win or lose, and that's one of the things that I think is attractive about this sport.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it is all on you if you're playing singles. Now, when you do the double side of it, there's a little bit of
I'm talking about
finger pointing
level.
from each partner. But yeah, at the professional level, when you're playing as a singles, you're exactly right. It's all on you.
So everyone has different rules. What are y'all's rules? Like the 21 cutoff? Can you bust? Like when I go to different states and play, it's like, oh, this is the Texas rules. These are the Florida rules. I'm just like, there needs to be. What are the American Cornhole Organization rules, Frank?
Yeah, as the governing body, you could go out there and find the actual rules, but most everybody is now using the legitimate rules, which are our rules. The one difference out there that there's still some other groups and organizations that have a rule where you can release the bag and cross the front edge of the board. There's a line there, okay? So they have the rule that when the bag is released, you're allowed to cross that line.
We don't really referee that rule in our backyard, do we?
You can throw it and catch it. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Get down there that quick.
But the official rule for us with that is that you can't cross that line until the bag actually lands. Either it touches the board, or it goes in a hole, or hits the ground. That is the way our original rule was. And then we had a young kid by the name of Dayton Weber that came out and played with us. This young kid had no arms, no legs. Amazing story. Really was an amazing story to see this kid come out and play with us. And he was coming in from Maryland. Came out to Charleston, West Virginia this year. Not this year, but years ago when he first came out. And I heard about this kid coming out to see us. And I was so excited. I looked some video on YouTube about this kid. It was so impressive the way he would pinch the bags and launch the bag through the air. But I noticed one thing, that he was sitting a foot in front of the board. Well, we currently don't have and didn't have any specific rules and regulations for different groups of people. Our game brings everybody together to play the same rules and regulations, right? So what ended up happening was I had to call this young man who's like 13, 14, 15 years old at the time and talk to him and say, hey, I hear you're planning on coming to play in this major in Charleston, West Virginia. I'm pumped, man. I cannot wait to see you in person. But I noticed something when I was watching you. You were sitting in front of the board. Have you ever tried to pitch behind the line? He's like, no, I haven't. And I said, well, is there any chance you could try? And he said, well, I can try. So he did. He practiced. He sat behind the line and ended up showing up in Charleston with his mom and his grandma. It was an amazing sight to see because his mom would carry him on the back over to the next court that he was due to play on. And he would pitch these bags behind the line. But as we were watching him play, we didn't say anything or call anything out that particular game, and we didn't do anything about this for about 6 months. But when Dayton would launch the bag, his whole body would go, would end up on the other side of the line before the bag would land. So we ended up making this rule that now a player could release a bag and then cross the line. Well, for 3 or 4 years, that rule existed. We switched guards. Then what happened is players started taking advantage of that. So they're crossing the line like by 5 feet, trying to dunk the bag almost. So that's when we reverted back to the historical rule that we had for the sport of cornhole, which was you cannot, cross that line until the bag drops. Sorry, that was a long story to get to where you wanted to go.
It was a good.
That's an inspirational.
Ending.
I mean, Finn, you were showing us the picture of that young man, and I think he would be an exception to any rule. That's what I would say.
He's an exception to a lot of rules.
Yeah. So if someone's coming out, someone's listening, you want to just come and see what's going on this weekend. How do you get tickets? What's the setup for this weekend?
Well, the setup is this weekend. Just show up at the gates. It's free for people to just come out and spectate. The gates open tomorrow, Friday at 8:30. They open today at 4:30. So if you want to come out, there'll probably be plenty of courts set up. We do not have bags. So if you do come into the building and want to, try to pitch around if there's an open court, make sure you bring your own bags. We will have a couple bag sets around that we might be able to lend to somebody who's just in from out of town and doesn't have anything to play with. But as a general rule, players now bring their own bags. I mean, we have over 23 bag companies now, that are partnered with us that you can go out and buy, bags from and stuff like that. But it is free this weekend, so I'd love to see people come on out and play. Again, any of these kids, I mean, there has to be a lot of kids in town, right, with Memorial Weekend and stuff like that.
School getting out and all that stuff. Yeah.
Come by 8:30 Friday morning, get yourself registered. We kick off at, I believe it's 9:30 in the morning is when we actually kick off our juniors division. So we'd love to see them come out and play.
I got a question text in. What does the winner get? You mentioned the singles and the doubles. Is there a prize at the line? I know this is, again, the championship's coming up in July, but is there something that you
there's some money on the line. Our pro players can win a $1,000 pro bonus if they win the tournament wearing their pro jerseys. The general, there's $5,000 to $10,000 cash based on how many people total sign up. We got a guaranteed $5,000 this weekend online. But really what the players are playing for, the money is good. The money is important to win for them. But they're also playing for just the pure competition, the pure sport, where they're playing for points. This is the last major of the season, so it's the point chase to try to be in the Corny 40. The Corny 40 is what we refer to as our top 40 players in the country.
How about that?
And really cool thing about being in the Corny 40 this year is those top 40 players are invited to a $25,000 purse event at the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be out there the last week.
Last weekend.
Last weekend of July
August.
for a really spectacular event where the public can also play in that event as well. So that's going to be a big thing. But finishing in the Corny 40, those guys end up getting their jersey. So we have these yellow jerseys that go to those top 40 players, and there's only 40 of them made each year that are given to these players. So no, it's exciting what we got going on this weekend for sure.
And I was just thinking about that. You're talking about Iowa. How far back does this sport date? I mean, was this something like pitching horseshoes back hundreds of years ago? How far back does this?
Well, the sport itself dates back to 2005 when I conceived the organization and really put the hardcore rules in place and stuff like that. But the game itself, nobody knows who invented the game. I mean, there's stories that it came out of Germany. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
The west side of Cincinnati, Ohio is hardcore. Beer drinking, tailgating, picnicking type of clan.
Yeah.
And
the east side is softcore. Yeah. At least that's what they say on the west side.
But the west side, Cincinnati is a heavy German town. And if you go back and you can Google and find it, there's a game, it was a board platform with a hole and, had bean bags that you tossed to it. And that came over in the 20s or the 30s from Germany. So that's one theory behind it. I had a kid that wrote a paper from Indian Hill High School. I don't know the kid kid's name. This is about 18 years ago now that I read this, and he likened it to the Indians. So the Indians would have a satchel of corn. They would dig a little hole in the ground, and they would just step back from that hole, and they would chuck this bag of corn, try to make it into the hole. So I don't know. There's lots of different theories of it. I think it's one of those things, unlike basketball, that you really have a founding father to basketball. Cornhole is just something that, it's the world's gift that nobody will ever figure out who gave it.
So you're the James Naismith of cornhole, is what I'm hearing.
I did not invent cornhole. What I did was made it better.
Yeah,
well said.
Well, I think we determined in the last, when we were in Cedar Rapids, I did a little research because I think Abner Doubleday maybe is always given credit for starting baseball, but he didn't really, and he just made it better. So he's the Abner Doubleday because it existed beforehand in some form or fashion, but it wasn't until this guy comes along where everybody goes, oh, that's a thing. Let's make that a thing.
Makes sense.
So,
all right, you mentioned the broadcast earlier. Before we go, where can people go to find the broadcast this weekend?
We'll be on WatchStadium.com as part of that Bally's deal that they put together. Watch Stadium is their digital platform. So we've done a handful of our majors there, and that'll start 7 o'clock Central time. So you can go to WatchStadium.com and check it out there. And that's always a lot of fun. And then we push it out on our digital platforms, and then we curate each different match. So our YouTube channel, we're looking at, 30 million minutes viewed or something like that in the coming year, because people will go, and, your typical watch rate for anything on YouTube might be a minute, 2 minutes, something like that. Our average is over 12 minutes because they'll watch an entire match and then click to go to another match. So it lives there in evergreen status as well.
Frank, Finn, thank you for having us out, and I know it's going to be a fun weekend to kind of officially kick off summer here in Branson. So
should be a lot of fun.
Appreciate you guys having us on.
Yeah,
all right,
thank you much.
A lot of fun. That's Frank Geer, the president of the American Cornhole organization, and Finn, who you'll see on the broadcast this weekend.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.